My girlfriend spent Thanksgiving with her ex's family, told me to stay home, so I canceled our Rome trip. And what she learned at the airport shattered her. I, Jonah, 34, male, lawyer. Not the shout in court type, more the fix everything quietly before it blows up kind. I like order. My apartment's clean, my schedule's predictable, and I can make a decent omelet without burning the pan. My girlfriend, Lois, is the opposite, 28, female digital marketing manager, the kind who triple posts on Instagram because the lighting was different. She's charming, bold, funny when she wants to be, and somehow thinks being late is part of her personality. We'd been together 3 years, lived together for almost 1. Things were fine, stable, or at least I thought so. Then came the breakfast bomb. It was a normal Tuesday morning. I was at the kitchen counter, laptop open, reviewing a contract while sipping coffee. Lois came out of the bedroom wearing one of my shirts and scrolling on her phone like she was waiting for the universe to validate her. She leaned against the counter and said, "Totally casual, so don't freak out, but I'll be spending Thanksgiving with the Hendersons this year." I blinked. The who? She gave me that smile, the one people use right before they say something dumb on purpose. Peter's family. You remember Peter, right? Yeah, her ex. The same guy whose name used to pop up on her phone with emojis next to it before she said, "It's just old friends catching up." That Peter. I set my coffee down slowly because caffeine and stupidity don't mix. "You're spending Thanksgiving with your ex's family. You know how that sounds, right?" She rolled her eyes like I was the problem. "Oh my God, Jonah, don't make it weird. His mom invited me. She and I stayed close. It's just family." Just family. Sure. Because there's nothing weird about spending a holiday with the same people who once planned your wedding color palette. I raised an eyebrow. "You do remember we already promised my parents, right? Mom's been asking what pie you're bringing." Lois shrugged, pretending to be busy pouring herself coffee she wasn't even drinking. "I'll see them another time. This isn't a big deal. You're acting like I'm going on a romantic getaway or something." "Oh, my bad," I said, keeping my tone calm. "It's just the Hendersons, the people who still post throwbacks from your engagement party. Totally normal." She crossed her arms. "You're being dramatic." I smiled. "Not the friendly kind. I'm a lawyer. Dramatic is when people cry in front of judges. This is me asking questions." Lois sighed, like I'd ruined her vibe. "You're jealous for no reason. You know Peter's engaged now, right?" I said, pretending to think. "And that engagement wouldn't make this any weirder." She rolled her eyes again and went for her phone, ending the conversation in the most modern way possible, by ignoring me. I watched her thumb move across the screen, probably typing something to the same family she'd be celebrating with. That's when it hit me. I wasn't even angry. I was interested because no one announces that kind of thing unless they've already justified it to themselves 100 times. She threw me a dirty look and stomped away. Her words kept replaying in my head, "Just family, don't be jealous, it's not a big deal." I'd heard that tone before. It was the same one clients used right before I found out they'd signed something stupid. I leaned back in my chair, watching her empty coffee mug still sitting on the counter. It was always the same. She left things half-finished, but expected full patience. Over the next few minutes, my brain did what it always does, connected dots. Her phone had been flipped face down a lot lately. Her texts were shorter, colder. When I walked into the room, she'd minimized screens like she was hiding state secrets. It wasn't proof of cheating, but it was proof of change, the kind where someone stops caring enough to even hide it properly. And honestly, that stung. I wasn't the guy who got paranoid easily. I've had clients lie to my face, bosses try to take credit for my work, and judges roll their eyes mid-sentence. I can handle tension. But this was different. This was someone who knew exactly how steady I was and mistook it for stupidity. Lois had just told me exactly where she was going, right back into her ex's circle, and acted like it was nothing. I could have called her bluff right then, could have told her to pick a side, but that's not how you handle people who underestimate you. You let them think they're winning. You give them rope, then watch what they do with it. I wasn't sure what my next move was, but I knew there'd be one. And this time, I wasn't going to argue or explain myself. I just let her keep talking, keep lying, and keep thinking she was the clever one while I quietly set the table for something she'd never see coming. Lois didn't bring up Thanksgiving again, which was fine. I didn't either. She probably thought I'd moved on. That's what I wanted her to think. I started acting extra casual, asking her what she wanted me to make for dinner, giving her a kiss on the forehead when she came home, all the usual boyfriend points. She'd smile like everything was normal, and that was perfect. When she mentioned the Hendersons again, I played dumb. She said, "Oh, I confirmed with Mrs. Henderson for Thanksgiving." She's so excited to see me. I said, tell her I said hi. I'm sure she misses having you at the kids' table. She didn't even catch the tone. One night she came home early, said she needed a shower before bed. She left her phone on the counter, screen still lit up. Normally, I wouldn't touch it, but this time something was off. The phone was on, but the screen wasn't locked. She'd been editing photos. I tapped the album out of reflex. There it was, a hidden folder. It wasn't labeled hidden, just had a faint icon tucked under a shared folder named Memories. I opened it. First picture, Lois at some outdoor event. Leaves in the background, fall sunlight. Second picture, Lois and Peter. He had his arm around her shoulders. She was holding a baby, probably his niece. They looked too close, too comfortable, like old times never ended. No captions, no filters, just raw, casual, real. I scrolled once more. Same event, same group of people. She looked happy, the kind of happy she used to look around me. That was enough. I put the phone back exactly how she left it. A minute later, the shower turned off. I was back on the couch typing something random on my laptop. She came out wrapped in a towel, hair dripping, phone in her hand. She looked at me, testing the air. You good? She asked. Yeah, I said without looking up. Just reading about this guy who defends bad decisions for a living. Kind of relatable. She gave a small laugh and disappeared into the bedroom. That night, I slept fine. A few days later, it got better. I was scrolling through social media on my lunch break at the office. A mutual friend, Jenna, had posted a bunch of photos from the Hendersons' pre-Thanksgiving dinner. Typical group stuff, family table, too many candles, people pretending mashed potatoes are deep conversation. Then I saw her, Lois sitting right beside Peter. His arm brushed hers in the shot, both laughing at something. She looked relaxed, like she belonged there. The caption said, "So grateful for this crew. Her family time." Family time, right. She told me she was working late that night, said the office was prepping for Black Friday campaigns. I even brought her takeout and left it in the fridge like an idiot. I screenshotted the photo immediately, not out of spite, out of habit. Evidence first, reaction later. I texted her that night, "How's work?" She replied, "Crazy. I'll be late again." Of course, so I double-tapped her friend's post just for fun. A few minutes later, Lois texted again. "Why did you like Jenna's post?" I smiled. "Looked nice. You all seem close." No reply after that. That weekend, she was overly affectionate. Made breakfast, played music, wore that I'm the perfect girlfriend face. I just played along, keeping it light. When she asked if I was excited for Rome, I said, "Yeah, can't wait. Should be a trip to remember." She laughed, thinking I meant it romantically. She had no idea I was already rewriting the itinerary in my head. I started taking quiet actions. I checked our travel portal, Rome anniversary trip, 2 tickets booked. I clicked Manage Reservation and saw both names. One clicked to remove hers. I didn't do it yet. Just looked at it like a chess player staring at a move he's about to make. Later that night, she was on the couch showing me dresses on her phone, asking which one I liked for our Italy dinner. I pointed to the red one. "That one screams confidence," I said. She smiled big, kissed my cheek and said, "See, you do care." "Of course," I said. I'm a big fan of watching people show off confidence. She didn't catch it. When Thanksgiving week came, she was all energy, packing, talking about pies she'd bring, acting like I'd signed off on this madness. She said, "You sure you don't mind me going? It's just one weekend." I smiled. "Lois, you're an adult. If you want to eat turkey with your ex's family, that's between you, them, and your common sense." She laughed, thinking I was teasing. That night, I told her goodbye and said, "Enjoy dinner with your second family." "Jonah," she said, half giggling, half annoyed. "Don't be jealous." "Jealous?" I said, holding the door for her. "No, I'm just curious which side of the table you'll sit on." She shook her head, muttering, "You're so dramatic," then left. The second the door clicked shut, I exhaled. No anger, no sadness, just space. The kind of peace that comes when you know you're not guessing anymore. I opened my laptop, scrolled back to our Rome reservation, and hovered my cursor over her name again. I clicked it once, deleted, then whispered to myself. Measure twice, cut once. After I whispered those words, everything in me went quiet, not empty, just focused. The next morning, while Lois was busy getting ready for work, I started moving pieces. Not emotional ones, literal ones. First, I pulled out my old suitcase from the closet. I didn't pack clothes yet, just a few important things. My passport, birth certificate, watch collection, and a few files I didn't trust leaving in the apartment. Stuff she wouldn't even notice was missing. I took them to my office later that day and locked them in my private cabinet. No drama, no sudden moves, just quiet preparation. A few days later, she sent me a text during lunch. Should I buy that matching luggage set for Rome? Looks cute. I typed back, if you like it, go for it. She responded with a heart emoji. She had no idea her seat on that plane was already gone. That night, I logged into the airline account again. Rome trip, 2 passengers. I selected her name, clicked cancel, and chose apply the unused ticket as travel credit to my account. The confirmation email came through a few minutes later. I archived it. Then I called the hotel. The woman on the phone said, Mr. Carter, I see your reservation for the anniversary stay. What can I help you with? Need to modify it to a single occupancy? I said. Something came up. She paused. Would you like me to adjust the room type as well? No, keep the suite. Just make sure no second guest is listed. Of course, you'll receive a new confirmation shortly. I thanked her, hung up, and exhaled. That was the easy part. Next move, finances. Lois and I had one joint credit card for groceries and shared expenses. I logged in, checked the balance, and froze it. The app sent me a confirmation, card temporarily suspended. Perfect. Then I moved the rest of my savings into a private account I'd opened years ago. Same bank, just under my name. It wasn't even about money, it was about control. When people like Lois start to believe everything revolves around them, taking control back becomes its own quiet form of peace. She kept acting like nothing was wrong, kept talking about our anniversary in Rome like she was starring in some romantic travel commercial. Every morning she'd say something like, Babe, should we go to the Vatican on day 2 or wait till the 3rd? Or, I found the cutest restaurant near the Trevi Fountain, imagine dinner there, and I'd just nod. Sounds great, you're the planner. She'd beam like I'd complimented her personality instead of her delusion. She posted countdown stories on her socials. Can't wait to celebrate love in Rome #anniversary trip. People commented, you two are goals. Yeah, if the goal was a slow-motion car crash. Thanksgiving week rolled around fast. Lois packed early. She had gifts wrapped for the Hendersons. Wine, candles, something for Peter's niece. I didn't even ask how she got their address. The night before she left, she was humming in the kitchen while making lists on her phone. She asked, Do you need me to leave anything ready for when you visit your parents? I said, Nope, I've got everything handled. She smiled, kissed my cheek, and said, See, we're such a great team. I smiled back. The best. The next morning, she came out wearing a sweater dress and boots, suitcase by the door. You sure you'll be okay without me? She asked, pretending like I was the clingy one. I'll survive, I said, grabbing her bag and rolling it to the elevator. She kissed me goodbye. I'll text you pictures. Looking forward to them, I said. Door closed, silence again. I went back inside and sat on the couch, just listening. The apartment was finally still. No perfume in the air, no background music, no phone notifications pinging every 2 minutes. I didn't even feel angry, just calm. I opened my laptop, checked my email, and saw her flight confirmation for Thanksgiving weekend. Her own ticket, not mine. I didn't care where she went, as long as she believed I was waiting. Instead, I packed a small bag, grabbed my keys, and started driving north. My parents lived 2 hours away in Vermont. I hadn't seen them in a while. My mom opened the door like I just walked in from war. You're finally here. Where's Lois? Work thing, I said, hugging her. Couldn't get away. Mom frowned. That's a shame. We got her favorite pie. She'll live, I said, taking off my jacket. Dad was on the porch fixing a broken light. Didn't think you'd make it, son. Good to have you back. It was peaceful, simple. The kind of normal that hits harder when you realize you've been living in chaos. The next day, I helped Dad with the gutters and spent the afternoon outside. My phone buzzed a few times. Lois's texts. Dinner was amazing. Peter's mom sends her love. You'd love their new house. It's huge. Miss you. I read them, then locked my phone and put it back in my pocket. I thought about the trip, about how she'd be posting pictures soon, bragging about Rome like it was a guaranteed chapter in our story. But she'd made her choice. And me, I'd made mine. On Sunday, I said my goodbyes, got in the car, and started driving home. The highway was empty, snow dusting the edges of the road. I turned the radio off, rolled down the window just enough to feel the cold. Somewhere between the exit signs and the skyline, I caught myself smirking. She chose where she wanted to be. Now it was my turn. I'll choose where I'm going, I said quietly, and the steering wheel didn't even shake in my hands. A month went by, the air got colder. The city lights started blinking with early holiday nonsense, and Lois was living in her own highlight reel. Every night she'd come home with new shopping bags, clothes, skincare, travel gadgets, like she was about to star in her own travel vlog. She was obsessed with our Rome trip. Every time she said our, I mentally subtracted her from the sentence. She'd hum while packing, say things like, "We're going to take so many photos by the cathedrals," or, "I can't wait to show you my surprise for our anniversary dinner." Meanwhile, my days stayed normal. Work, gym, meals at the same times, calm, predictable. She'd occasionally try to make small talk about Italy, and I'd nod like I was half listening. She'd say, "I booked a nail appointment for the day before our flight," and I'd reply, "Sounds productive." She thought I was being distant because I was stressed with work. She wasn't wrong, just about the reason. 3 nights before the flight, she laid out all her outfits across the bed. Different looks for dinner by the fountain, shopping day, and romantic walks. She asked, "Which one do you like best for our first night there?" I said, "Whichever you think Peter's mom would approve of." She laughed, thinking I was joking. I didn't even crack a smile. By the time our anniversary morning rolled around, the show was in full production. Lois woke up before me, blasting music while she got ready. The smell of perfume filled the apartment like she was trying to drown guilt with Chanel. I walked into the kitchen calm as ever and made coffee. She came out wearing designer jeans, a white sweater, and a new travel bag slung over her shoulder. She'd done her hair, makeup, the whole 9 yards. She twirled once and said, "How do I look? Like someone who's about to have a life-changing experience," I said, sipping my coffee. She smirked, snapping mirror selfies by the door. I watched her type the caption, "Anniversary in Rome. Perfect." The ride to the airport was mostly her talking. She talked about the food she wanted to try, the restaurant she tagged, how her friend Becca said she was so jealous. I gave short replies. She didn't notice, too busy texting. At one point she said, "You're quiet. You okay?" "Just thinking," I said. "About what?" "How fast people get comfortable assuming things." She smiled, clueless, and went back to scrolling. We reached the airport 2 hours before the flight. Classic Lois. Had to be early to avoid stress. She insisted on dragging both her suitcases even though I offered to help. "I've got it," she said proudly. I just nodded and followed her lead. At check-in, she walked up first, handed over her passport with a smile that could have sold toothpaste. The agent typed, paused, frowned, then typed again. I'm sorry," the woman said. "I don't see a second passenger on this reservation." Lois laughed nervously. "That can't be right. It's under Jonah Carter. 2 tickets." The agent shook her head politely. "It's showing only 1, Mr. Carter." Lois looked back at me, blinking fast. "What's going on?" I stepped forward. "She's right about one thing," I said. "It's under my name." Then I looked at the agent. "That's correct, single reservation." The agent glanced between us, realizing she just stumbled into something awkward. "Would you like me to double-check?" "No need," I said. "Everything's as it should be." Lois turned fully toward me, her face morphing from confusion to anger in real time.
"Jonah, what did you do?"
"I adjusted my carry-on strap. I canceled your ticket after you chose Thanksgiving with your ex over me." Her mouth fell open. "You're kidding, right?" "I don't joke about reservations," I said flatly. A couple people in line started watching. Lois lowered her voice, but not enough. "Jonah, this is insane. You can't just cancel my ticket. We're supposed to be celebrating." I looked at her calmly. "We were. But you already celebrated Thanksgiving with Peter's family, remember? I figured I'd celebrate this one with someone who actually kept their plans." Her voice went up an octave. "You're doing this to punish me." "No," I said, stepping closer so only she could hear. "You told me not to be jealous. I'm just following your example." She froze, eyes darting like she was trying to find a version of reality where this made sense. "Jonah, people are staring." "Yeah," I said. "You should probably tell them about the Hendersons. It'll clear things up." She gaped, hands trembling now. "You're vindictive. You're actually cruel." I smiled slightly. "You always said I was too calm. Consider this me balancing things out." Her voice cracked. "Jonah, please, just fix it. Call the airline." "I did," I said. 3 weeks ago." The agent cleared her throat awkwardly. "Would you like me to book her on a separate flight?" "No, thank you," I said without looking away from Lois. "This trip's for 1." Lois's face went red, her breathing uneven. "You can't just—" "Jonah, everyone can see us." "Good," I said, picking up my bag. "They can see what happens when someone mistakes patience for weakness." Then she said the line I'd been expecting. "I can't believe you'd do this on our anniversary." I looked at her, steady. "You chose where you wanted to be, Lois. I'm just choosing where I'm going." Her jaw clenched, eyes glossy. "So that's it. You're just leaving." "Pretty much." I started walking. She shouted after me, "You'll regret this." I turned back once, calm as ever. "Maybe, but at least I'll regret it in Rome." The look on her face. It was a mix of disbelief, anger, and pure humiliation. She started arguing with the agent again, demanding they fix it, waving her phone around like she could screenshot her way back into my life. I walked right past security, handed over my boarding pass, and didn't look back. For the first time in months, I felt light. No guilt, no noise, no pretending. She thought I was flying to Rome alone. She was half right. The empty seat beside me in first class, that wasn't hers. It belonged to my best friend Ryan, the same guy Lois couldn't stand. She used to call him immature, annoying, and that guy who thinks sarcasm is a personality. She wasn't wrong. That's probably why we got along so well. Ryan boarded late, backpack slung over his shoulder, grinning when he saw me. "Man, I can't believe this actually worked," he said, tossing his bag in the overhead. "You really canceled her ticket?" I smirked. "She canceled Thanksgiving. I just returned the favor." He laughed so loud the flight attendant gave him a look. "You're insane." "Calculated," I corrected. "Insane has bad timing." He sat down, buckled in, and looked around. "Wait, are we in first class?" "Yeah," I said, stretching back. "You can thank the travel credit from canceling her seat for that." Ryan blinked, then grinned like a kid. "So you turned the canceled seat into our upgrade? Think of it as poetic justice with legroom." He fist-bumped me. "You're my hero." The flight to Rome was quiet, smooth, almost relaxing, while Lois was probably blowing up my phone at the check-in counter. I was sipping espresso at 30,000 feet, flipping through my cases on my tablet. Ryan looked over. "You're seriously working?" "I'm sightseeing early," I said. "Preparations, everything." He shook his head. "You plan even your revenge like a blueprint." "Measure twice," I said, grinning. "Cut once." We landed in Rome early morning. The city looked alive the moment we stepped out. Chaos with rhythm, horns, scooters, the smell of espresso and old stone. The concierge looked up when we checked in. "Buongiorno, Signor Carter. We have your reservation, single occupancy." "Yes," I said. I called back this morning to add a guest. The concierge nodded and printed 2 key cards. Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Man, you really planned this." "I'm a lawyer," I said. "We don't build unless it's solid." The next few days were exactly what I didn't know I needed. Everywhere I looked, I saw things she'd planned for us. The restaurant reservations, the gelato spot she bookmarked, the tours she talked about. Except now none of it hurt. It was funny. At one point, Ryan and I were standing near the Trevi fountain, and he said, "So what's the moral here? Never date marketers?" I shrugged. "Never date someone who thinks your patience is a weakness." He laughed. "That should be a shirt." That night over dinner at a place that overlooked the Pantheon, Ryan started telling me about his ex. "Bro, my girlfriend once threw my laptop out the window because I didn't like her post fast enough. I almost spit out my drink." "What?" He nodded seriously, said I wasn't engaging enough, like our relationship needed analytics. I leaned back, laughing. "Guess we're bonding over entitled girlfriends, huh?" "Yeah," he said. "Except yours tried to turn Thanksgiving into a loyalty test." "She failed," I said, raising my glass. "You passed." "To freedom," he said, clinking his glass against mine. "To silence," I added. The next day, we visited the Colosseum. I snapped a photo of us sitting on the ancient steps, Ryan throwing a mock thumbs up like a gladiator. I posted it later with a simple caption, just celebrating properly. It wasn't revenge. It was punctuation. By evening, the post had already stirred the storm. I expected Lois must have seen it within an hour. My phone started vibrating non-stop. Notifications, messages, missed calls. I didn't even have to open them to know the tone. Finally, curiosity won. I checked. Wall after wall of text from Lois. "You humiliated me. Do you know what people are saying? You're cruel. I can't believe you brought him. You think this makes you look strong? It makes you look bitter." I scrolled through all of it and replied once. "You told me not to be jealous, remember? I learned from you." Then muted the chat. Ryan glanced over. "She lost it yet?" "Full meltdown," I said. Paragraphs of rage. He grinned. "Feels good, doesn't it?" I thought about it. Feels clean. The rest of the trip was smooth. No tension, no second-guessing every word I said. Lois used to narrate every moment for social media, retake photos, fix her hair, complain about the lighting. Ryan just said, stand there, snapped a shot, and moved on. Simple, real. At one point, we were sitting in a small cafe with an old Italian man singing off-key, and Ryan said, dude, you realize you just reset your life, right? I looked around, the sunlight cutting through old glass, the sound of traffic blending with laughter, the taste of real espresso. Yeah, I said. Feels like I deleted a virus. He nodded. And you upgraded your OS? I laughed. I even used the travel credit from her canceled seat for it. Our last evening in Rome, we grabbed beers and climbed up a hill that overlooked the Colosseum. The city was glowing in gold light, the sky turning soft orange. People were laughing nearby. A street musician played something slow on guitar. Ryan stretched out his legs. Man, this is peace. Real peace. Yeah, I said quietly. No guilt, no walking on eggshells, no pretending someone's loyalty is just bad timing. He looked at me. You really done with her? Completely. Ryan raised his drink. To starting over. I clinked mine against his. To never apologizing for expecting respect. We sat there as the sun dipped behind the Colosseum, the whole city glowing like an old photograph. For the first time in years, my shoulders felt light. No waiting for explanations, no trying to fix something that didn't want to be fixed. Just peace earned, not borrowed. I didn't check my phone when I landed. I already knew what was waiting. Calls, texts, probably essays disguised as closure. I wasn't in the mood for theater. When I got home, the building felt heavier. Lois was there, sitting on the couch like she'd been rehearsing a confession for days. Her makeup was smudged, hair tied back, eyes red. No phone, no camera, no performance. Just her, smaller than I remembered. Hey, she said, voice low. I shut the door, set down my bag and said, you still have a key? She flinched a little. You never changed the lock. Guess I forgot, I said. What are you doing here, Lois? She stood up, clutching a small folded piece of paper. I needed to say something. Actually, a lot of things. I didn't move closer. You could have texted. You're good at that. She winced. Jonah, please. She walked over and handed me the paper. It wasn't typed or printed. It was handwritten, shaky, with a few smudges like she'd cried while writing it. I wrote this after Thanksgiving, she said. But I didn't have the guts to give it to you then. I looked at her, not the paper. You were too busy with Peter's family. Her eyes dropped. Yeah, I know. I deserve that. I unfolded the letter. It started with, I know I've hurt you more than I want to admit. She didn't try to interrupt as I read. The letter laid it all out. Not excuses, but actual admissions. Peter had reached out before Thanksgiving, saying he missed their old connection. She said she liked the attention, that it made her feel seen again. She admitted that the family invitation wasn't just a casual holiday thing. She went because she wanted to feel wanted. Every line was another nail in the coffin of the person I thought she was. She wrote, you didn't deserve to be made a backup plan. You deserved honesty, and I didn't give you that. I lied because I thought I could get away with it. I was wrong. When I finished reading, I folded it carefully, placed it on the counter, and said, that's a lot of honesty for someone who spent months defending a lie. Lois swallowed hard. I know. I didn't expect you to ever talk to me again. Then why are you here? I asked. To feel better about yourself? She shook her head. No, to tell you that I messed up everything. Peter admitted he still had feelings, and I liked it. I didn't do anything physical, I swear. But I let it go too far. I wanted to feel like I mattered to someone, and I stopped realizing you were the one who made that possible in the first place. That's poetic, I said. You should have written that instead of the fake anniversary caption. She winced again. I deserve that too. Yeah, I said. You do. For a long second, the room was just quiet. Then she said softly, I'm sorry for humiliating you, for lying, for making you feel like you weren't enough. You didn't make me feel that way, I said. You made yourself look that way. Tears slipped down her cheeks. I want to fix it. You can't fix what doesn't exist anymore, I said. But you can start acting like someone who means what they say. She nodded, silent now. Over the next few weeks, she started doing just that. Not because I told her to, but because I gave her nothing to hold on to. I didn't let her move back in. She stayed with her parents downtown. She asked me to dinner. I said no. She wanted to talk in person. I said, email me. She started deleting things. All the fake anniversary posts, the anniversary in Rome caption, the couple photos, the public act she used to hide behind. Then came the messages to friends. She apologized publicly, said she'd lied about the trip, admitted she wasn't the victim. Mutual friends texted me screenshots. Dude, she's really trying to own up. I didn't reply. She sent me one message near the end. I deleted Peter's contact, blocked him. I told him not to speak to me again. I know it doesn't change what I did, but I needed you to know. I typed back, "You're not proving it to me, you're proving it to yourself." And that was it. Weeks passed. I saw her once by accident at a coffee shop. She looked smaller, quieter, wearing no makeup, just sitting by the window with a book. She noticed me, smiled weakly, and didn't come over. I nodded once from across the room, polite, distant. She went back to her book, and that's when I realized something important. Forgiveness doesn't always look like second chances. Sometimes it's just freedom that no longer needs an explanation. She'd finally stopped performing. I'd finally stopped waiting. That quiet balance lasted for months. My days went back to their old rhythm: early mornings, solid work hours, gym, a book before bed. Simple, predictable. Lois stayed in the background. No calls, no drama, just distance. Every now and then a mutual friend would mention she seemed different. Less polished, more grounded. I didn't think much of it. I wasn't holding my breath for a sequel. Then one afternoon in late spring, my office intercom buzzed. "Jonah, someone here asking for you. Says it's personal." I looked up from my paperwork and knew before the receptionist said her name. Lois. She walked in looking nervous. The kind of nervous that comes from meaning something, not faking it. "Hey," she said softly. "Hey," I replied, motioning to the chair across from me. "You look normal," she half smiled. "That's the goal." We sat there quietly for a few seconds before she placed an envelope on my desk. "I know showing up like this might cross a line, but I needed to give you something in person." I raised an eyebrow. "Another letter?" She shook her head. "No, tickets." I paused. "Tickets?" "2," she said, "to Rome." I looked at her carefully. "You used to love that word." She nodded. "I did, and I ruined it. But I bought these with my own money. No posts, no hashtags, no matching outfits. I just wanted to go, for real this time, and only if you come with me." She wasn't trying to sell it. There was no speech, no manipulation, just quiet honesty. "You want to redo the trip?" I asked. "I want to rebuild," she corrected. "Not redo, rebuild honestly. No pretending, no performance, just us." I leaned back, studying her. "You realize this could go either way, right? You could get peace, or you could get closure again." She nodded. "I'll take either. I just needed to try." There was something steady in her eyes, not desperation, just accountability. I sat for a moment, then said, "All right, one condition." Her eyes flicked up. "Anything. We go for us," I said, "not the world." She smiled, small, real, human. Deal. We left 2 weeks later. No public posts, no airport selfies, no one else even knew. It was strange being back on that same flight path, same destination, completely different people. This time, no drama at check-in, no one arguing at the counter, no scene, just quiet boarding, simple smiles, and a seat beside me that didn't feel heavy. We spent the first day walking. No schedules, no plans, just wandering. She took photos, but not of herself, of the streets, buildings, small corners of cafes. She stopped tagging everything with meaning. On our last night, we walked along the Tiber River, the city glowing behind us. She stopped, turned to me, and said quietly, "Thank you for giving me a second chance." "I didn't give it," I said. "You earned it." She smiled. "Then I guess we're even." "Not yet," I said. "Ask me again in a few years." She laughed, a quiet, honest laugh that didn't need attention. We stood there for a long time, the water reflecting the city lights. It didn't feel like a fairy tale or a grand redemption story. It just felt normal, real. And maybe that's what both of us needed all along. Not fireworks, not revenge, not validation. Just balance. When we flew back home, she didn't post a single thing. No captions, no tags, no digital proof. Just a memory we both shared privately. As we left the airport, she looked at me and said, "You're not the same person I heard." "Good," I said. "You're not the same person who did it." We both smiled, knowing that for once there wasn't a scoreboard, just understanding. That night, back home, I unpacked my suitcase and found the ticket stub she'd given me months ago, tucked into my wallet. The one from the first Rome trip I took without her, the one she never boarded. I looked at it for a moment and realized something simple. Canceling her ticket wasn't revenge, it was clarity. Sometimes they need to miss their flight to remember who kept them grounded. And giving her a second chance wasn't weakness. It was just a smarter play.